Let's go to Dunedin now, where roughly 300 workers at the city's Cadbury factory could be retrained, relocated and possibly re-employed before the factory closes its doors next year. Dunedin Mayor Dave Cull called a meeting yesterday involving the city's business leaders and Cadbury's owners to discuss future opportunities for staff. Mr Cull refused to speak to us after the meeting last night, but he said today he hoped 30 jobs could be retained by keeping Cadbury World open. And while locals aren't happy about it, he told me that Cadbury's owners, Mondelez, could still apply, as they did last year, for a $55,000 council grant for their Chocolate Carnival.
We don't even have an application for it yet, John, and I don't know whether the money will be granted because we have a grants committee set up independently to decide that. I don't anticipate it'll be done till June. So it's way in the future. Mostly there's been speculation about it, actually.
Okay, as mayor of that city, do you think it is appropriate to give public money to a company that is pulling out of the city and making over 300 people redundant?
Look, I don't have a position on it, John.
Really, you don't? I'm surprised by that.
No, the Chocolate Carnival has been a much valued event, which Cadbury's has put considerably more than the city ever has into it, and it's for the benefit of the community, and the grants committee will decide against the other applications at the time whether it's justified.
Okay, you say they had or have put considerably more than the city into it. This is all past tense stuff now, isn't it?
Sure.
I mean, this is not a sentimental equation. This is not a relationship that is any longer symbiotic. They are packing up and they are leaving you, and the association, which was a great one, is ending.
No, we don't know that. And it may not end completely at all. The status of the proposal is that it's still a proposal, and in good faith, we know that Mondelez has to talk to its workers and get feedback about the proposal and what other options there may be. Secondly, we've got Cadbury World here, which is a major visitor attraction, and it could be a standalone attraction. It's part of our commercial heritage as a city. We greatly value it. How many
people does Cadbury World employ?
They employ 350.
Okay, and so Cadbury World.
Mm.
No, you're talking about Cadbury per se, aren't you? Not Cadbury World.
No, I'm talking about Cadbury World is the visitor attraction that they run here, which has hundreds of thousands of people go through it each year and employs about 30 people.
Okay, 30 people. Cadbury itself employs 350, right, or thereabouts.
Yep, that's right.
What percentage of those jobs, in good faith, do you believe can be retained?
I think that probably if Cadbury World were retained, it would be about 30, but probably that will go up because they're investing. Sorry, I'm getting confused here. Let's set Cadbury World aside, which is, let's talk about the Cadbury manufacturing operation in Dunedin. That must be about 320 because of those.
Okay, so you're saying to me, on the one hand, that there is a continued process of negotiation, the jobs may be safe. On the other hand, you're expecting only 30 jobs to be saved. Well, they're the jobs at Cadbury World, they're not the jobs at Cadbury Manufacturing. In other words, actually what you really expect is that Cadbury are going to close down their manufacturing operations in Dunedin, right?
That's the proposal.
And do you see any way around that?
I don't see any way around that, but because I don't see how the volume targets that Mondelez has set for their plants could be met from here. But my concern has been and is only about the well-being of the workforce that are likely to be put out of work and how we support them through that. And that's about 350 people all up. And that is what I called a meeting of various agencies and stakeholders in the city about yesterday to start that process of how we have put in place a citywide support for those people in the event that the proposal goes through, which it looks like it.
Okay, so what you're saying is it looks like it. It looks like these 320 people roughly going to lose their jobs. And it looks like, and they're saying they're going to lose their jobs because of what sort of productivity? Is it output?
Yes, it's volume.
Right. And yet what we know is, what do they make in the financial year 2015? $9 million profit in your city?
I have no idea what their profit is.
I think that's pretty accurately the figure. In other words, they are being, as they have been in the UK, as they have been in Montreal, they are being brutally unsentimental with you, and that's business. But I just wonder why you are pulling your punches in your response to this.
I am not pulling my punches. I don't have a view on whether they should be pulling out. That's a commercial decision. I am concerned with the well-being of the workforce, and it's a remarkably good workforce from the bottom to the top. I am concerned about their well-being, and that's what the rest of my city is concerned about, and how we work forward for their well-being into the future. I'm not going to indulge myself in futile whys and wherefores and who's to blame. I can't change any of that, nor can anyone else in the city at the moment. It's going through a process. I want to do something constructive.
Okay, you're saying it's going through a process, but you can't change anything, and that, you know, commentary is futile. In other words, we do seem to be staring down the barrel of a kind of inevitability, right? That the manufacturing operation is closing, that those 320 people are going to be losing their jobs.
It would appear so.
Okay. What did you discuss at the meeting yesterday then? What was the point of the meeting?
We discussed at the meeting what is planned to go forward for Cadbury's and the workforce in Cadbury's, and how best we can support those. So that workforce includes everyone right up to the manager of the plant. And they still have a year of production to go through. So in setting up a meeting to arrange support for those that workforce, we had to be aware of what realities they're going through, because we could come in there and say, oh, we can help, we can do this and do that. And the side effect of it might be that we disadvantage those workers who still have a year of very productive work.
So you're talking about a boycott, for example, a Cadbury boycott? So what you're saying, and it echoes what the union's saying, implicitly is actually a boycott is a disaster because there's still a year's work left there.
Well, that's certainly what the union has said and what the workers have said. Yeah.
And I see it's a balancing act for you, because ideally what you would like to do, I guess, is attract businesses like Canterbury to Dunedin, right? And you have a skilled, profitable workforce there ready to go. So you don't want to bite the hand that feeds. But this hand ain't feeding any longer.
I don't think that I think what we've got to realise, and I think that Andrew Little, when he was down here the other day, made this comment as well, the future for production in places like Dunedin is not around high volume, high weight product that's a long way from its market. The future is in much more smart product and weightless product and that kind of thing. And we already are well on the road to that with things like film, design, IT, the computer games, that kind of thing. The closure of Fisher and Paykel a few years ago, the closure of Cadbury's, which has frankly been predicted for years here, is a sign that the future of the regional places like Dunedin is not in small plants producing high volumes of stuff that go to markets thousands of miles away.
Did you ask them to keep the plant open? Did you say we would like you? You did.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what sort of language you used?
We would like to see Cadbury's stay here producing for the foreseeable future. That's clear.
And what did they say back?
The people that made the decision weren't the ones we were talking to, because they're in Chicago probably. What they said back was that there are certain imperatives that the company is demanding of all its plants, and one of them is volume.
So how can you support this workforce who have been loyal, in many cases very long-serving? They have been part of a profitable operation, who have made products that have been top-notch. How can you support them as they move beyond their lives, their working lives at Cadbury?
Well, it will depend on the individual. There'll be a lot of different ways. It might involve retraining, it might involve relocation, it might involve re-employment. And that the purpose of the meeting yesterday, with all the people around the room, like this Employers Association, the Chamber of Commerce, the University, the MSD, was to get a common understanding of just where we are in the proposed process, what's going to happen in the next year, and what their needs might begin to be as we go forward. And fortunately, we found we've got some time to put those sorts of things together.
Dave Cull, the Mayor of Dunedin.